Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on April 13th, 2021 at approximately 6 a.m. PST. It was brought to my attention yesterday in the comments that the lighting right now is a bit of a problem. So I'm going to see what I can do. I have no idea how I'm going to cure that. But I am going to take a look at it and see what I can do. But as you can see behind me, the chap I figured that I told you I was going to bring in has corrected the chair. This chair came from up front, in all fairness. There was another one that we made to turn over to my son. But that's the other office chair, and I will hopefully be moving over there shortly. I've still got to get the computer working right. But that said, things are going reasonably well. Yes, we've got the same problem. We putter. But you get used to it after a while. I did anyway. Now, like I said, the reality of life is this. We have one of two choices with this world. Okay? And the reason I decided to go this route is because I find that everything that I do is all tied together. Everything you do is all tied together. Okay. And what I mean by that is I'm in the process of straightening my own life out, offering you the tools to straighten your life out, to change it to what you desire, never mind what anybody else does. But all of it ties into following karmic law, as in, be true to yourself, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, energy out, energy in. So every one of the tools that I offer you, if they apply to me, I'm putting them to use. Okay. Now, I'm not perfect at it either. There are days, like yesterday, for instance, too tired to get everything organized, so I ended up packing it in before I did. I think that was more a question of just falling asleep. Unfortunately, it was done in this chair, so, to say the least, I'm in pain. But that's a minor little issue. Okay. Because of that little issue, don't want that there, that's for dang certain. Get that out of my way. Like I said, long day. But we have one of two choices. You can leave your life the way it is, and it's amazing the number of people I talked to yesterday that were complaining that their life was not good. They weren't happy with it, and yet they were either refusing to change, refusing to see it, or they were absolutely adamant it wasn't their fault. Which many things are not the individual's fault. For instance, getting older and dealing with some of the things that happen as you're getting older, doesn't matter what age you are. Not technically your fault, the body works that way. So you got one of two choices. You can leave your life the way it is, or you can start to alter it. And that's pretty much the only options you have. You're either doing one or the other. You cannot do both. You cannot leave your life the same and alter it at the same time. It just doesn't work that well. Okay, it's a cute thought. I like it. Would that I could change things without actually doing the effort. But it doesn't work quite that way. As you can see, well, here we go. Let's get this straightened around. Like I said, I ran out of pads, so I'm working with this. Again, I've got my list. I've already started checking things off on it. Okay. I mentioned I was doing a writing schedule. Okay. Writing schedule. That's this one here. Which has been started. Now, it won't make a lot of sense to you, because I'm not bringing it close enough for you to bother reading. But it tells me what I need to know. And this neat little thing here is a sheet that I no longer require, I don't think. Nope. So it can go. I don't have a shredder, so this works quite well. And I'm not about to go and buy one at this stage. Okay. But with everything in mind, I have a very simple outlook. I know what I can do with that. You can either leave your life the way it is, or you can alter it. Now, the reality is, the time is long since over. And I'm sure every empath that is out there will agree with this. It's time for the conflict to stop. Okay. Now, it's also time for people to take responsibility for their own actions. I saw a post on, I think it was on Facebook. Somebody put a post, I don't know if I want to call it a post, but they put a sign there that says media boycott. And I'll tell you right now, media boycott is not the option. I mean, technically it is, but think of it this way. You listen to, you play your games on the computer, you do your letter writing, you do your communication lines, you do all sorts of things on the computer. As a matter of fact, the fact you're listening to me, and thank you very much for joining us, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Our big goal where it comes to the channel is to get this message out to everybody on the planet, because the reality is this. It is time for people to put down their guns, put down their bows and arrows, put down their rocks and clubs, put down their bombs. It's time for people to quit regardless of where they are. Now, this issue of media boycott. You boycott the media, okay, and here's what happens. You lose all communication with everybody. Okay, it's like trying to derail the oil industry. The computers that you're working on are tied to the oil industry. So is a lot of the clothing, from what I gather. Okay, so I mean, all of these things are tied together, and every empath, I'm certain, will agree. Okay, especially if you're uncontrolled, that the less stress you have going on around you, the happier you are, the more relaxed you are. Okay, I know for an absolute certainty, for me, when I've got too much stress going on, it is way too annoying. The number of people I talked to yesterday that were complaining that their relationship, they were trying to hold a relationship together that their partner wasn't trying to hold together. Okay, and I use the term trying very, very deliberately in this case. Okay, and the issue is this. It takes the efforts of both partners to make something work. If you've got kids, dragging the end of a relationship out is not only counterproductive for the kids, it's also harmful to them. Because the message you're going to be sending is, I'm in a bad relationship, I'm not happy, but I have to stay in this relationship. And that's what your kids are going to figure out. That's what they're going to go out and replicate in all likelihood. Now, you may luck out. You may manage to find or get your kids turned around where they might just not do that, but the odds are stacked against them. Okay, in my case, it really boils down to this. Deal with all of it at the same time. I do apologize for those of you waiting for another edition of Races of the World. I'm making, that came out well. By the way, this is a live recording. I don't go back and and edit any of this. Although yesterday I screwed up on the date. Okay, and I had to redo the whole thing because I wasn't going to edit it. So I didn't. I just deleted the thing and started over. But I'm just making a note for myself here to be next on the list here. Okay, so that I can get it done when I get down to that part of the list. But one step at a time. Okay, you have a choice. You can carry the world the way it is. It will tear itself apart in time. The Roman Empire did. Pompeii was another wonderful example, although it was a little overstated. Okay, but it was a direct reaction, and I cannot prove this. It was a direct reaction to the way the peoples of the world were behaving. Now, it would happen anyway, but the stress that is caused by man on the planet is having a direct impact on the planet. Now, years ago, down in I think it was the northern states, there was a study done that discovered something really remarkable where it came to plants. Now, this was a scientific study, and they took three different rooms full of plants. All the plants were identical, the lighting, the watering, the soil, you get the picture. One room they just dealt with making sure they had the watering done. Okay. The second room, They had people in there joking, laughing, having friendly conversations, playing upbeat, positive music. The plants grew like wildfire. The third room, they had people in there arguing, screaming at each other, having angry music playing, right? And these plants just withered and died. Now, what this proved beyond a shadow of a doubt was the more stable your home is, the better, the happier the plants are. Now, that may not matter to you until you realize, hopefully this matters once you realize that Earth itself is a massive colony of plants. You happen to be a denizen. Every one of you happens to be a denizen on the same planet. Now, when you start talking about this is a first world country, that's a second world country, that's third world, news for you, only one world. We are all on a first world country. This is mankind's first world. This is all denizens of this planet's first world. It's your only world at this point. I mean, yes, we are making headway into outer space, and I get a kick out of it in a sense. People talk about getting into outer space to conquer. Well, how about if we talk about getting into outer space and actually do so with the intention of exploring, with the intention of getting to know each other, of getting to know our neighbors? Now, if you don't believe that there are people on other planets, that's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to believe there's gravity for it to work. Okay. And rest assured, the other neat little thing there is you don't have to believe in a higher power. You can believe in what you will. It doesn't matter. I cannot control, and nobody can control how you think. Nobody can control what you believe. All that we can control is how we react to the way you present what you believe. Okay. I've been told absolutely, I'm completely off my nut for talking to people about this idea of getting along, of the different religions getting along. Okay. That's completely outside, but let's point something out. There was a time when they said the Scottish clans would never unite. There was a time when they said that the US would never be a country. You couldn't do it. I think there was 13 colonies. Now, my history is not great, but I think there were 13 colonies to start with. And they originally said they would never be able to unite. Well, I got news for you. You got 50 of them out there now. They said the UN would never make it. Well, the UN made it. Okay, these are all things that people said would not work. Okay, and could not work. It was also said that mankind would never fly. Well, Orville and Wilbur Wright got the credit for that one. Okay, now there's discrepancy over how a lot of things happen, and that's okay. The reality is this issue of it can't happen doesn't hold a lot of water in history. Okay. I mean, even from my standpoint, there are things I've done that people said I couldn't do. Not the least of which is get back to drinking my coffee. Okay. See, everybody is different. Everybody has their own unique individual issues. The one thing that we have in common, and people have got to get it through their heads, that this is absolutely imperative. Everybody lives on the same planet, and it's time to stop destroying the poor thing. Because I will tell you, you destroy the planet dies, now where are you? Floating around in outer space? There's a cute thought. I don't think many of you can breathe without air. I heard one the other day. It was absolutely priceless. Somebody claimed the reason his relationship wasn't working was because he was actually asexual. Which is a really cute thought, but it does bear the question. How in tarnation he managed to go from a heterosexual resident to an asexual. Okay. The thing is, and I will be absolutely clear on this. Okay, I asked a long time ago, what do you do when your heart and your head are in conflict? When your heart says, I want this, because as the saying goes, the heart wants what the heart wants. But what do you do when your heart wants something that isn't feasible? Or at least that you're told isn't feasible? Where it comes to a relationship, it requires two people working together. two people have to put the effort in, because no matter how much effort you put in, it's only 50% of the required effort. Where it comes to attaining goals, if you've got a dream that you desire to attain, okay, and people tell you it's not functional, you can't do it. Stay out of the arts, stay out of acting, stay out of the music industry, because you can't do it. There's a lot of phenomenally successful people out there. Okay, so when your heart is set on something and your head argues with you, basic rule of thumb: follow your heart, but use your head to get there. If you're not making financial ends meet, and finances are required, finances are strictly a form of barter. That's it. Okay, they aren't the problem. Money is not the root of all evil. Fear is. And we have to get to the idea that people fear the unknown. Okay, and humans seem to have evolved in an interesting fashion. They seem to have developed an ongoing philosophy. Fear that which you don't understand. That which you fear, strive to control. That which you cannot control, strive to destroy. And that which you cannot destroy, fear. Okay, well, think of it. Are you following? Where in that whole issue of things are you following? Or are you falling? Now, I like the other things, the other idea. Explore what you don't understand. Look into it, research it, get to know what's going on with it. Okay, now there's a lot of things that are out there that you can take the time with. I have a problem where it comes to working with the material world, i.e. that chair behind me. I couldn't figure out how to turn it around. I looked at the schematics. Now, I'm not exactly an idiot, at least I don't think so. Maybe I am. But I had to bring somebody else in to simply put a simple office chair together. Took them about 20 minutes. Okay. Me, I spent 45 trying to figure out how to turn one schematic around in my head so I can actually work on it. Didn't work that well, obviously, otherwise I would have got somebody else to do it earlier. Or I wouldn't have had to, is more to the point. But your choice is simple. Are you going to leave your life the way it is, or are you going to get rid of the things in it that you're not content with? Okay, that's your choice. If you're going to stay where it is, okay, think of it this way. I've got a pen. I want to change the pen from this hand. I want to put it in this empty hand. Now, if I want to do that, here's the past, the present, or the future is over here, and the present is in the middle. But here's the thing. If I want to get that pen over to this hand, I reach over and I grab the pen. Now, I don't want to let go with this hand, so I'm going to carry on. How successful am I going to be getting that pen into my left hand? I'm guessing not overly. The other idea where it comes to being able to move forward, okay, it's time to take the negative past and put it behind you. Okay. Doesn't mean that you forget it, doesn't mean that you don't, that what brought you to where you are has changed. All it means is that you're not focusing your effort on keeping things the same as they were. Because I'll tell you, if you're not happy, keeping things the way they are doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay, it just doesn't. Now, I do like the way that works at this point, as in my left arm. It is getting better, and it will continue to do so, because quite frankly, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. The other neat little thing about it, when you take a look at the overall picture, I hope that didn't do that, so I don't think I'll do that again. Popped what the heck is the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to open the document, and I hope it didn't just pop up on my screen, but at the 19-minute mark, I'll go back and double check that when I get off, because I don't know whether it did or not. I know I found out there's a neat little button here that if I have to, I can put it on pause. But for the moment, I don't have to. Okay. At least I can without it causing a problem now. But I'm a slow learner, I admit it. I mean, heck, it took me almost 58 years to figure out that if I don't let go of the past, I kept telling people, let go of your negative past or you're not going to be able to move forward. And I'll tell you, it is not as easy as it sounds. However, this is why I keep the sign, and it's over there. Yep, sign's over there by the door now that says, I am worth it. And I'm either going to end up moving that sign so I can see it on the video, or I'll move the camera over there. Depends on which way things go and when I get the other computer up and running. But I'm making the changes that I feel are necessary for me. And these are simply tools that I personally use. Okay. Now, when people start changing their lives, when you start getting rid of the negative things around you, you start getting to know the people around you. You want your crime to drop in your area? Get to know the people around you. Okay, regardless of what walk of life they're from, regardless of who they are. Now, for pity's sakes, be logical in it. Be cautious in it. Don't go knocking up on the door of somebody that you know is a problem. However, saying hi to people when you're walking on the street, when you're not in the really, really damaged neighborhoods. I call them damaged because the people are having so much trouble and they don't see any way around it. Okay, that's not, in all fairness, their fault. I mean, it is their fault, but if you don't know how to alter something, how are you possibly going to do it? Major change traditionally happens when there is a massive catastrophe. Unfortunately, unless it's an absolutely global cataclysmic catastrophe, people on the whole don't seem to get the message. So, how about this? We're looking at a massive catastrophe right now. Our world, multiple different religions, multiple different belief structures. Okay, multiple different skin colors. Our world is riddled with violence, greed, debauchery, all of these things. The problem is, this is the same. People talk about this being the end times. Well, it could be. I look at it as a transitional time. And it's up to you, it's up to myself, to make the changes necessary to end the wars, to start getting along with each other. And I'll tell you, if you happen to, regardless of the reason, maybe the person has frustrated you, maybe you've just had a really bad day. But beating the heck out of somebody that you call your loved one, and then going, I'm sorry, you made me do it. Unless they're holding on to your fist and punching themselves with it, they're not making you do it. You're losing control. It's time to look in the mirror and go, I did this. Not that you should look in the mirror and go, yay, I did this, but I did this. It's my responsibility to alter it. Same thing where it comes to war. Okay, now don't get me wrong. I have a great deal of respect for the militaries around the world. Not necessarily their actions, but the fact that the people are willing to stand up and go, I'm going to defend my country. Okay, now understand, when I talk about defending your country, for me personally, this means defending the one that you live in, not going out and starting a war with somebody else. Communication will, if it is done correctly, it will help people get along. Which is where this whole concept of what I'm doing, and in all fairness, it's a great big thanks to you guys, a great big thumbs up for encouraging me to get on with doing these videos. Okay. And I do encourage and request that you share these with anybody that you can. Now, I myself post these on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter. Okay, I don't at this point post them on anything else because I don't have the rest of it set up. But I do encourage you and ask that you do, if you've got access to other links, absolutely pass this message on, because the sooner we get it out to the world, the sooner this world can start changing the biggest problem it's got, which is the fear that is being propagated by so many people. Okay, where it comes to you that are of a religious mind, it's time to start talking about loving each other and start showing people how to love each other. You're the spiritual guides that people turn to, many times by the thousands. And hopefully what's going to happen here as my following gets bigger, okay, hopefully I will get the same response, with the big difference. I'm not doing this to get a whole pile of money. Now, don't get me wrong. Somebody starts sending me money, I'm not stupid enough to turn it down. But for those of you that are religious or spiritual leaders, it's time to start talking to people about getting along, about accepting the differences in people, and working together to understand them. Where it comes to the politicians, and you're looking at laws, and this applies to the politicians that are simply parents making laws in your own home. Okay, make sure the laws that you're making are equal, that they apply to everybody. Okay, in other words, and here's a simple one. If your rule is turn the lights off, okay, when you go by, if the lights are on, turn them off. If that's a rule, then that means as you're going by the light switch, turn it off. If you realize you forgot to turn it off, go back and turn it off. That way, when you tell the kids, turn off the lights on the way by, and you notice they didn't turn one off, they walk by, tell them, go back and turn it off. Okay, if laws are not made that are equal, what happens is society splits. If those two split societies do not make equal laws, they will fracture again, and we end up with a world the way it is right now. Complete conflict. I mean, there are places that aren't in conflict, and, congratulations to those of you that aren't. Okay, where it comes to the media, and this comes back around to the comment that I made earlier about this post that I'd seen about boycotting the media. Where it comes to the media, okay, it's that came out well, but this is a live video, meaning I don't go back and edit. When it comes to the media, whether you're on the news, whether you're on radio, whether you're on the newspaper, doesn't matter. Absolutely report the things that are negative. They still need to be brought to light. But I'm asking you, start promoting the positive things. Start showing the marriages that people are having. Okay, the ones that are permitted to be had. Okay, start reporting those. Start reporting the people that are helping each other. Take the massive accident or the massive war-torn side, put it on the back page. It still needs to be there. Okay, you still need to let people know. But I get told that's what the people want. Well, I'm telling you, sometimes, it was said in a movie one day beautifully, with great power comes great responsibility. And I'll tell you, the media, the politicians, you guys have a staggering amount of power. It's time to put it to use properly. Where it comes to the media, if you offer people a positive outlook when you start, they don't start the day off by going, oh, the world's going to heck in a handbasket. They don't need to be told that. They already know the world's going to heck in a handbasket. Okay, they already figured that one out. What is required for people to see is that there is something else. People talk about the end times coming. Okay, well, the end time is coming. But here's the end time. It's time to end this idea that we all are going to die and only a few select people are going to be saved. You gotta let go of this idea that any one individual is more important than any other one. It's time for the people that have the power, that have the strength, that have the understanding to reach out and help those that don't. Okay, now, this started when I started the journey, I started looking at it going, okay, here's the mess I'm in, here's where I'm heading, okay, and here's how I'm doing it. Seems to have evolved beyond that. Now, if you look at the bottom of my video, you'll see a list of different publications that I've put out. Okay, now those are only available for me, or from me rather. But there is also a list of contact points below this video. If you've got questions, if you've got observations, absolutely drop me a line. I will do my best to get back to you. Okay, either directly, which is usually how I do it, but that will change over time because as more and more people come in, I'll tell you, I've only got, I think this morning when I looked, I've got like 106 followers, which is such a small number and so tiny compared to what I'm aiming for. Okay, as it gets more, it's going to be more complicated. Okay, now that said, I keep these to a half hour for a reason. Okay, because I know if your day's anything like mine, you've got a hectic schedule too. So, until tomorrow, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.